My name is Paul Matthews. I am the CEO of ngrok LLC. We are a Tier 1 partner of Twilio. Here is our website. We help customers develop solutions using Twilio. In this tutorial, we will cover the basics of creating your environment to work with Twilio, and we will also create a basic Hello World application. In this Hello World application, you will be able to call a number and then be able to hear Hello World. The main purpose of this tutorial is to help you create the environment where you can run Twilio. We will not go in depth into any of the Twilio services. This is just a basic tutorial. We will cover various Twilio services later to create your use case. We are a Tier 1 partner of Twilio. We are featured in the Twilio website. If you need to get hold of me, you can go into the Twilio website and search for us, and then use the Talk to Netram link and click on the Get in Touch, and that should be able to get in touch with us. Let's cover what we will be doing in this tutorial. The first step is to install and configure the necessary software. We will install Notepad++, which is a word editor. We will install xampp, which is the web server and database. We will also install ngrok, that provides tunneling services. We'll cover that a little bit later. We'll configure the web server. We'll create the simple Hello World program, and then we will also look into logging and troubleshooting. So the first step is to download the necessary software. So let's go ahead and download all of these. Let's start with Notepad++, which is going to be our text editor. To do that, search for Notepad++. Here's a link for Notepad++. Go ahead and click on the download page and then download the latest software. You can either use the 32-bit or you can use the 64-bit as per the capability of your computer. So the next step is to install xampp. So search for xampp. And we are going to be downloading this latest version, which is 7.2.8, which is based off PHP 7.2.8. We're going to be downloading the 32-bit version here. So here we have all the software download, and the next step is to install the xampp and the Notepad++. Double click on the xampp installer. And that should start the installation process. So xampp is an interesting software. This does have the web server, Apache web server, MySQL for the database. It includes an FTP server, and it includes PHP as well. We don't need a mail server, so we're going to disable that. We don't need Tomcat, we'll disable that as well. PHP MyAdmin is very useful to see what's inside the database, so we'll have that. We'll also disable the fake sendmail. We don't need that as well. And then, no, on second thoughts, let's just have it. We might use fake send mail on subsequent projects. Then let's hit next. And then this will involve xampp. This could take a little while. Meanwhile, we can install the Notepad++, which is going to be our text editor. So there we are installing Notepad++. That's completed now. Let's see what's happening with xampp. We don't need this window, so we're going to close that one. Let's see what's happening with xampp. Xampp is still installing. That's a good time to install ngrok. So to install ngrok, search for ngrok. So you will need to log in before you download. So once you log in, you should be able to download ngrok. So let's go ahead and download ngrok. So there we have ngrok as well. So now we are installing xampp. xampp installation is still going on. So now if we look into the ngrok, there is a zip file with ngrok. We need to extract the zip file. So this gives a binary called ngrok. We're going to copy this file one level down into the software directory. Now we have ngrok as well. Xampp is still going on. So let's wait till xampp is completed. The xampp installation is now completed, and we will try out the xampp and also set up the control panel. So we'll do that, hit finish. There is a firewall permissions from Windows, and we are going to agree to that one. We'll allow it for both public and private networks. So here you can see all the components of xampp. This is the Apache, which is the web server. There is MySQL, which is the database, and FileZilla is the FTP. So we're going to hit start. That has started the web server, and that web server is listening on port 80. To verify that the web server is starting, we can use the web browser and then type in localhost. So we see this nice dashboard, which shows that the xampp is now running, and we now have a web server running on our PC. Even though we will not be using MySQL database in this tutorial, we will be using it in subsequent tutorials. So it's a good idea to just start it so that we can be prepared for the future. So for now, we have started the MySQL as well, which resulted in another Windows firewall alert, and we are giving it access as well. Now we have given access, we've got both the web server and the MySQL running. Now, let's see where can we create the files for the web server. So to do that, let's look into xampp, and within xampp there is a folder called htdocs. So this is where all the xampp files need to be placed. So this is where you would create your PHP file or your XML file. So we're going to create a folder here called tutorial. And since this is our first tutorial, we will name it as we will create another folder inside tutorial for tutorial 1. And now we can create the file right here. So to do that, we need to start the Notepad++ text editor we just installed. Let's look for that. Notepad++, there we go. So this is our Notepad++ text editor. We will create a simple file. This is a test file, and save this file within the xampp directory. It is c:\xampp htdocs tutorial1, and that's where we're going to create this file. So this is going to say test.txt. It's a text file that we have created, and content of the text file is this is a test file. Now, if we go to our web browser, and then instead of dashboard, if we click on tutorial/tutorial1/test.txt, it gives file not found. That's because this name is incorrect. We're going to change it to tutorial1. Now we can see the test file. So we have successfully created a text file within the xampp folder, and this text file is now visible within the Chrome browser. The next step is to configure ngrok. To configure ngrok, we need to use the command, Windows command. To do that, press the Windows and the R key, and then type cmd. So now we need to go back to the folder where we installed ngrok, which in my case is in the software folder. And there we can see ngrok. If we type ngrok, it gives a nice help. In our case, we are going to be using HTTP that listens on port 80. We know it is port 80 because xampp has said that HTTP or its web server is on port 80. So we'll do a ngrok HTTP followed by port 80. So ngrok does a few interesting things. We can see this link, which is now a public link that's available, which will tunnel into our PC. We require ngrok since our PC is normally within a firewall and will not have external access. Using ngrok, we can get external access to our web server from the external world. So if we now copy this link, and use that on a browser. We now see the dashboard, and we can also see the test file that we created. Here's the test file. Now we have set up our environment. We are ready to write some Twilio code. So this tutorial is about Hello World. So to enable Hello World, we need to write a Twimlet. So let's search for Twilio Twimlet. We're going to search for Twiml, TWML, not Twimlet. So here is the Twiml. Twiml is the markup language that Twilio uses. So here is a simple Hello World Twiml. So this is an XML file, and we need to create an XML file with this exact same content. Here we can see the XML header. This is a response. All Twilio Twimls should start with this response, and there should be a closing response as well. The say will say out that sentence. So let's create this Twiml, and then we'll see what happens. So to do that, I'm going to copy and paste this Twiml. Going back to my Notepad++ and create a new file. And now we are going to save this as hello.xml. We created this. We will now verify that this was created successfully. We'll type in hello.xml. Yep, we can now see the response correctly. So this is going to be the URL that we will program within Twilio. Now we'll go back to our Twilio console and then set up this URL. That's the next step. This is the Twilio dashboard or the Twilio console. Once you log into your Twilio account, the screen that you see should be identical to what we see here. There are a few things that we can do to help us. If you click on these three dots, that will list all the various services that Twilio offers. We are interested in two of these services. One is Twilio Voice. We're going to click on the pin icon next to that. The other one is the phone numbers. So we'll click on the pin icon next to that as well. So what that does is it creates a shortcut for us. We can see these two shortcuts now. And let's now move on to purchase a phone number. So to do that, let's click on the programmable voice. And then the numbers within that. And now we can click on get number to purchase a number. And now we are going to buy a number. We're looking for a number within US, and we are going to search for a number that starts with area code 408. And now we want to have capabilities of voice, fax, SMS, and MMS to this number. We are going to be using only voice capabilities for now, but for future projects, we will require all the other capabilities. So let's purchase a number with 408 area code. Let's see if we can find one. Yes, we found it. This is a number from San Jose, 408-478-9465, and it's got all the capabilities that we wanted, and we are going to just purchase the number. So we just purchased this number. And now we can set up this number. So for this number, we are accepting voice calls. And when a call comes in, this is the webhook that needs to be called. So this webhook is nothing but the URL that we had earlier. So this is the ngrok URL. And we saved. So let's review that. We purchased a phone number and we attached the ngrok URL to that. We are going to leave all the other settings to its default. And now we can call this phone number. So let me call that number. (408-478-9465). And I'm going to dial that number from my phone. 408 478 9465. Dialing that number.
Hello World.
So we just heard Hello World when we dialed that number. We're going to do that again. So we heard Hello World when we dialed that number. So now we can do a little bit of troubleshooting to see what happened when we actually called that number. So if we click on the programmable voice, Twilio has some excellent logs. Right at the dashboard, we can see that there were 4 calls that were made inbound. So these are calls that were made to Twilio numbers. If we click on calls, we can see these calls. You can see that these calls were made from my number 303-731-3353 to this number that we purchased. This call lasted 2 seconds. If we click on the date of the call, we can see more details that are very helpful. So we can now see that Twilio made a request to the URL. Twilio added a few parameters to that. We did not use any of those parameters. Our web server, which is running on my PC, returned this XML response. Twilio did receive this XML response, and the response was Hello World, and Twilio actually said Twilio World. Twilio actually said Hello World. So that completes this tutorial. We can also see the status in ngrok. This is the ngrok window. We can see that there is a post that was made from tutorial, post that was made from Twilio to tutorial/tutorial1/hello.xml, which is the file that we created. It returned a 200 OK. So that is a very simple Hello World. Let's review what we just did. We installed and configured the necessary software that included Notepad++, xampp, and ngrok. We configured the web server running locally on my PC. We created a simple Hello World, and we looked at the Twilio logs to see the request that Twilio made to our web server and the response. That completes the tutorial 1. If you would like to hear about any other topics, please add a comment below, and look forward for our next tutorial. Thank you.